start. We are born again. Open your heart. Spend this time in your head.
Hey guys, so we are going to talk about macros for Dr. Boz's ratios, because oh my gosh, we've been so many people are so confused. So y'all, in case you don't remember, this is Miss Emily Penton, who I just had on my channel not long ago. I will link her video up above. So Emily texted me today and she was like, I'm eating this much protein. And I was like, you're not eating that much protein. She was like, yeah, I'm eating this much protein. I was like, you're not eating that much protein. So we had a little bit of it's not chemistry. What was it? It was some kind of lesson. It's
Math,
conversion, something. So I told her, I said, you know what? This is perfect. Let's do a Zoom call where we can talk about these macros. Where do these numbers even come from? What do they mean? And I will show you how to track on Chronometer or Chronometer. I'm not sure which one.
I think it's Chronometer.
That's what I say, but I don't know which one it is. Regardless, we're going to use that one. And let me preface by saying, I already have a video with Danny about tracking on Carb Manager. I thought Carb Manager was easier. Dr. Boz has explained that the difference between Carb Manager and Chronometer is that Chronometer is verified. So not anybody can put anything in there. And if you really need to understand what you're eating and go down to the micronutrient levels, then this could be more important. If you don't really care and you're just kind of going for a general overview, use what you're comfortable with. But anyways, so with that caveat out of the way, let's go ahead and start.
Yes, and I think we should talk about why we're doing this and why I got it so wrong. So my little mind thought that as I did the ratio or the breakdown, and I figured out my weight in kilograms, and then I did 1 gram per 1 kilogram, that I'm supposed to eat 65 grams of meat. That's what I thought. And so I went into Google and I said, convert 65 grams to ounces. And it was actually, no, I think it was 85, right? Anyway, it was about 3 ounces. And so what I did was, in the morning, I got out my meat, I got out my scale, and my scale does ounces. So I put my meat on my scale until it said 3 ounces. And so I thought that I was eating the 65, 80, 85 grams of meat. And then I talked to Amy, and it's a whole different ballgame.
Yes. So I was like, wait, what is happening here? What is missing? And so it took me a minute to figure out. So hopefully this explanation will help anyone else that may be having the same confusion. The weight of your food is the gravitational pull of the entire piece of food. Now, Emily was eating either really lean steak or chuck steak or ground beef. So there's several options that she's eating, which are all going to have different values.
And I had no idea.
But they were all 3 ounces. So what I told her, I was like, okay, I think I figured out the best way to explain this. What you're actually weighing when you weigh the food like that, half of that is going to be water weight, just like it would be for us. Because when we get on the scale, we have a lot of water weight, which is why when you start the Dr. Boz thing, you'll lose so much right away because you dump a bunch of inflammation. But the food is the same way. Over half of that is water weight. So imagine that if you take these 3 ounces of steak, and it's a very lean steak, we're just going to use sirloin steak so that there's hardly any fat in it at all. You put it on the scale and it says 3 ounces. Well, if I were to take that and I were to put it into my dehydrator or my freeze dryer, and after it's done and it's gone through the cycle, we would bring it back out and we would weigh it. It would go from 3 ounces to probably 0.5 ounces. Very, very, very light. And the only thing that I really would have removed from the process would be the water. Potentially like a tiny bit of fat, because it does get to like 160 degrees. So some of the fat may have melted off, but it's going to retain most of that protein. But you've gone from 3 ounces to half an ounce. So which one is right? Well, technically they're both right. And this is why it's so important to use a tracking app like Carb Manager, MyFitnessPal, or Chronometer, so that you know about how much protein you're getting in that steak. And Emily hates tracking. She does not want to chase the numbers. She doesn't want anything. She told me today, she's like, I'm going to have to put on my big girl pants and I'm going to have to learn how to do this. So we are going to work on that. And I'm going to show everyone else about how this would go. So let me share my screen and get my chronometer up. So Emily, can you tell me, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So there's a few things that they've actually built into Chronometer that makes it a little bit easier to get to the Dr. Boz ratios. And she went through this in some of her education. They actually have had lives where she's answered questions in the Consistently Keto course. And the guy, the Chronometer guy, that's who I call him. I don't know if he's the one that made it or if he's just one of the people who knows things. I think he like had something to do with like the whole of Chronometer. He has come on and he's answered questions. So he walks us through how to set this up properly. It's going to look different on your phone than it's going to look on your computer, but the premise is about the same. So when you first go into Chronometer, I have the free version. I did not pay for it. If you do, then you can separate your meals into like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't really care because I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat and then I'm done. So if you go, you sign up, get the free one if you want, or pay, and then go to settings. And then you're going to look under, so there's all kinds of things in the phone. It says targets. So you're going to go to targets and then you're going to enter in all of your information. Female, my birthday, current weight, BMR, sedentary. I have that right over there. If you come down to your macronutrient targets, you're going to use the macro targets. You're going to use the keto calculator. It's just easier. Just click the keto calculator. Then down below that, there's another little button where it says select the keto program. There's custom, relaxed, moderate, and rigorous. They said for Dr. Boz's ratios or pretty close to it, you're going to click rigorous. And what that's going to do is it's going to limit the amount of protein and the amount of carbs that you're going to do every day. So that kind of takes a lot of the questions out of it so that you don't really have to think about it. So then we're going to go over to my diary. Now this tells me, like I said, it looks a little bit different on the phone, but this tells me how many calories I have to go through every day. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in, we're going to add a food. And you can see any of these that have a little shirt on them. These are custom recipes that I have added in my phone. And I actually found it pretty easy to add it in there. I will do a screen recording and I will put that in the bloopers afterwards of how to add a recipe, a super fast recipe. So I have several recipes that are already in here. They're highlighted in blue. Those are mine. Those are the ones that I did. So I would add my fatty coffee for today. And I had one full recipe. Add that. Look what it does. It breaks it down for you. How many calories, total energy, how much protein, how many carbs, and how much fat. Oh, the other thing I forgot in the settings, which was down lower. is the tracking carbohydrates. It's just down underneath the macronutrient targets. You're going to want to track total carbs. So that is the other piece to this puzzle that I totally forgot. That was back in the settings. So back to the diary, it shows you exactly how much is in that one fatty coffee. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this. Yes, I'm positive I want to remove it. And let's add a new food. So we're going to take Emily's 3 ounces of sirloin. So I'm going to sirloin, beef steak sirloin, no visible fat eaten. And if you notice this little beaker right here, this means that that food has actually been lab tested. So the fat, the protein, and the carbs that come up in any of these foods that have a little beaker next to them are lab verified. So it's not where someone can just add whatever they want to. It's legitimately what it is. So you can't fudge it on this one. We're going to go with the beef steak sirloin, no visible fat eaten, just to keep it as clean as possible. We're going to take this and turn it to 3 ounces. You can see there's all kinds of options. We're going to leave it with the ounces, 3 ounces, add. Now let's take a look and see what this says. It says that her protein is only 25 grams of protein. Even though we're at 3 ounces of food, the protein is only that much. And even though it was a super lean sirloin with no visible fat eaten, you see that there's still a little bit of fat that was consumed in there too, which means that an awful lot of that steak was actually water. So this is the cool thing about Chronometer and about honestly any of these apps. Once you figure out how to do it, you can change how much you're going to eat and you can see what it's going to do to your daily consumption. So now we can come in here, we can click on this, we can try to click on this, view, edit, select, oh no, wow, woo, look at that. This is on the computer. That is totally different from what the phone does. So it gets way more in depth on the computer. Let's change it now. And let's see what happens if we were to go to 6 ounces. Add to diary, 6 ounces. We'll get rid of the 3. It's easier to do on the phone. I'm sure I'm just not doing it right. Yes, I really want to get rid of that. Okay, so the 6 ounces of sirloin steak alone is going to get you 50.9 grams of protein. And you notice that it has my protein set at 52. That has my protein set that low because it's Dr. Bob's ratio plus I need to lose weight. So they have a little bit of caloric restriction as well. If you just want to know how much to eat, you're going to want to do what she suggests, find your weight in kilograms, and then eat that many grams every day. I allow myself up to 70, and that seems to be fine. It doesn't kick me out of ketosis. It keeps me in a really good level. So Emily, how much do you want to be eating every day? How many grams of protein do you want to consume every day?
So whenever I did the whole kilograms thing, I didn't do it my ideal weight. I just did my current weight. I didn't understand that. So I guess I would need to go through and do that, refigure that.
So we are going to take Emily's desired weight. And this is based on BMI charts. You can Google BMI chart for, women, and it'll pop up, and then you can look and see what you're supposed to be at. So we're going to take 130 because we're in America, so we do pounds. The easiest way to convert pounds into kilograms is divide your ideal weight by 2.2. And that is going to give you about what your kilograms would need to be for every day.
So let's round it up to 60.
So let's make it an even 60. Perfect. Stop sharing and then reshare the other screen. Okay, so we're going to take this up to an even 60. We're at 50 right now. So let's see if I can figure out how to change it. It's like I said, a little bit easier on the phone. Let me see. Protein, that's 67. 59.3. Okay, so 7 ounces of a lean sirloin should give you, oh, my bad, 7 ounces. There we go. Back over here. We're going to take off the 6 ounces. And now 7 ounces of a lean sirloin is going to give you about 60 grams of protein. Emily has a lot of really serious food sensitivities. She can't do eggs. She can't do butter. She can't do a lot of stuff. So for her, she can just set her whatever food protein, it's always beef. It's always beef. She can set her protein to that with just the beef. If you are a person who can eat eggs, egg yolks have protein in them. Butter has a little bit of protein in it. So playing with your numbers ahead of time can be really, really helpful so that you know what you're eating. So that is your protein. What about your fat? Do you want to put that in here? Do you track your fat, or are you just eating fat until you're good?
I personally just eat fat until I'm good. I would think that there is some protein in the fat. So I don't know if I need to allow for that.
I honestly would say, so I go up to a 70 and I'm fine. I would think that in your fat, you're probably not going to get a whole lot more than like 10 grams. But what we can do is we can go check it out.
Okay.
Let's go to add food and let's see what happens when we go with beef suet. Beef suet, variety meats and byproduct suet raw, right there,
Yeah.
very first one. And check that out. It has the little beaker, which means that it is verified in a lab. And
That's awesome.
this part out. Okay, so we're going to click this guy right here, and down here at the bottom, we're going to go to ounces. And we are going to put in, do you have a rough estimate of how much you eat of beef suet?
I would say a generous estimate would be 6 ounces.
Okay, 6 ounces. Add. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the product now. There we go. So 6 ounces right here says that the total fat is 160 grams and the protein is 2.6.
Wow.
So there is a tiny bit of protein in there. There's like protein in everything, honestly. But that will tell you exactly where everything is. So that puts Emily right around 1,500 calories a day. And most of it is coming from fat. But Emily has also said, if I'm hungry, I'll go eat some fat. So she will walk over and just go grab some chunks of fat. For anyone who's looking for a way to eat the fat, Emily likes to eat it raw and frozen with salt. And then it's kind of like little cheese cubes. When you eat it that way, it's actually kind of cool. At first I was like, you're nuts. But then it was totally worth it. So that is one way you could eat it. You could also air fry it with a little bit of seasonings on top of that if you can handle that. One of the moderators in the Mighty Network does that. So hopefully that is a very brief overview. And like I said, I will do a screen recording on my phone of me entering in a really quick recipe to show you how to do it. And then I'll put that after this into the bloopers so that you guys can see how to add a whole recipe, and then it saves it for you forever. So that was the perfect teaching opportunity with only one little interruption from my tiny human. So Emily, now your challenge is going to be to go get signed up for Chronometer and learn how to input the stuff. So now you can figure out how much ground beef you can have, because you're going to be able to have more ground beef than the sirloin because it has the fat in it and all of the other things. So you guys, hopefully that helps. It's actually pretty user friendly. There is a learning curve, but I actually think I like it better than Carb Manager. So it took a minute, but I did figure it out. It's actually way easier to add the recipes. And I think that's one of the reasons I like it better. So hopefully that answers everyone's questions. Can you think of anything else, Emily, that we need to cover with the protein, the fat, anything like that?
No, I'm just excited because I mean, I was doing this, with my Dr. Boz ratio and everything and doing really well, hitting my numbers perfectly, but feeling like, I really could eat some more protein. So when I found out today, like, it was just like, my mind was blown, like what I can have, like literally double what I was eating. So I am so excited, to know that I can have more protein. And, I think it's really important that you do figure out the details so that you know what you're eating.
Yeah, there was someone in your group the other day, and he said something that just really hit me. He was like, if you don't keep looking, you'll never find the answer. I'd love to tell you guys that once you find where you're happy and where you're good, that you'll never have to change again. But that's not always the case. So sometimes we have to keep looking, but you're not alone. We're all still looking, and we can find ways to support one another while we are doing this. And you can have these little victories like, I can eat more. And Emily may be able to go up to 80 grams of protein. She may be able to go up to 90 grams of protein and still be able to stay in ketosis. What she's going to do is she's going to check in the morning, see what her numbers are looking like. And then now she understands how she can tweak and raise and lower things so that her body's chemistry is where she needs it to be for her own personal healing. So just because Dr. Boz says 1 gram to 1 kilogram does not mean you have to be there forever. It does not mean that's the only thing you can ever do. It means it's a starting place. So start there. Ask questions over in my Facebook group. Emily has several groups that she does as well. I have a Mighty Network. I will put all of our information down below so you guys can reach out to us and ask questions, ask for support, come and join all of our communities so that we can help lift you up as you guys are going through your healing and discovering what works best for you. So Emily, thank you so much for having that question and for hopping on real quick so we could record this. And I'm sure that we will have you on here again because there's always another excuse to get on Zoom.
Well, and I think it's the whole reason why I wanted to, share this was because, I mean, I think it's really important to say, I don't understand. I didn't understand. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not a mathematician converter master's degree level person. Like nobody ever explained to me the difference between 3 ounces in weight and 3 ounces of actual meat protein. And so I'm so glad that you were able to keep diving deep into questions to ask me how do you measure this? Now, what, and I really think it's important because I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there's other people who are doing the same thing, and I don't want them to be under eating.
Mm-hmm. Very, very much so. So every question that you guys ask us helps other people learn. It helps you learn. Don't ever feel like it's a stupid question. I love that old saying, the only stupid question is the one that is unasked.
Yes.
So I tell my kids that all the time. I'm a homeschooling mom. It is my job to educate. So please bring your questions, post any other questions that you have down below, and pass this on to anyone else who you think may be under eating and maybe they don't quite understand what they're doing. They can use this video to help them figure out exactly what they should be doing. So thank you, Emily, very, very much. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds for both of us.
Hey, thanks, Amy.
anymore. I'm not 172 pounds anymore. I've lost almost like 8 pounds. Wow, that's fantastic. I like that. That's centimeters. That's not what I want. That's it. Update that one. There we go. And that's not it. See, I have these problems too. So like you click on, there's a little, I think it's an apple. Like I might have to see if I can do a screen recording so I can show you guys how to do this. And my app just crashed. That was not helpful. Or it won't let me go into it. Or my phone just crashed. What are the odds? If it lets me. We'll see if it lets me share my calculator. It does. It lets me do my calculator. I'm so happy. Oh, it's so tiny. It's so cute, but that's okay. Okay. So
It's actually really big on my screen.
oh, fantastic. Because like all my other pop-up windows are in the background. So that's awesome. Now for putting a recipe into Chronometer. When you open up the app, you're going to want to click this little apple right here. It'll bring you to this screen. Click Create Recipe. Put in the name of the recipe. Once you're done with that, hit done and then add ingredient. Search for the item you want. Let's start with the base of coffee. I'm going to go with this top one up here, or almost top one. But that size is wrong. So when we click on it, it's going to take me over here. We're going to click on that, drop down, find the one I want, 12 ounces, add to recipe. There it is. Now let's add another ingredient. This time I'm going to use butter, which I've used many times, so it's in my list. We're going to scroll down until we find it. Go ahead and click on that, and then adjust the amount. 1 tablespoon, add to recipe. Another ingredient. Now we're going to do an egg. I do a raw egg. Granted, it's cooked with the coffee, but I drop it in raw. So we're going to use this one. Unfortunately, I don't have larges, I have mediums, so let's fix it. Click on large, drop down to medium, add to recipe. This one, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to scan something. So add ingredient, and then use this little barcode button. Hold it over your barcode, and sometimes the item will be in here. Click on that, put it into the recipe, and there we go. There is my recipe. I'm done, so I click next. You can change the serving size if you want, but I'm good with just one full recipe. Hit next. You can add instructions. I don't care. Save recipe. So here it is whenever you want to find it again. You go to My Recipes from the little Apple menu, and it's right up there at the very top. It was the most recent one that I just did. Now I'm going to show you how to add it to your diary. Go ahead and click down here, the little diary. You're going to click on that. It'll take you back to the main page. Now you're going to click the little plus button, and that'll bring you to this page. You can click Add Food. And then up here at the top, you're going to scroll this little bar until you get to Custom right here. Now you can see our brand new recipe at the very bottom. Click that. 1 serving? Nope. I had 2 this morning. So I'm going to change that to 2 and then click Add to Diary. And there it is. Let's go ahead and add some more food. Same process. I'm going to use my yolk waffle recipe that I already have stored. Just 1 recipe, and then you can just keep adding more and more and more food. You can search. If you need to search, go back to all. I had sausage patties this morning, so I'm going to show you that they have the Great Value sausage patties. Put those in there. It's actually very user-friendly once you get used to it. It just takes you a little bit of time, repetition, to understand the way that it works, but it is actually super user-friendly. I had a breakfast sandwich this morning, so I'll just keep putting in all of my information until it's all done. Keep clicking the same thing, plus button, then the apple, and then look up at the top for all or custom for your custom recipes. And just keep adding things and changing the values and manipulating the numbers until it matches whatever it is that you have eaten for the day. And then once I am all done entering everything in,
we can look and see what my diary looks like for the day. So here we've got my total calories, my fat, my protein, and now I know how much I have left for the rest of the day.